I've been thinking a lot about walking lately. Not fitness walking, not step counting, not productivity walking. Just walking. There's a phrase I once heard often. Walking is living. Or as my friend would say, caminar es vivir. At first, it sounds simple, obvious even. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that statement has weight to it. It contains a deep recreation philosophy inside it. Walking is both a means and an end. It isn't just transportation to get from A to B. It's one of the most accessible forms of recreation we have. And yet, we rarely treat it like it matters. When we look at municipal budgets, we tend to view recreation through the lens of infrastructure, such as ball fields, courts, and community centers. But walking, a fundamental form of recreation, relies on a different kind of infrastructure. It depends on dedicated networks of sidewalks and trails, safe crossings, and integrated lighting. These aren't just amenities, they're an essential connective tissue of a city. And ultimately, walking is a baseline test of whether a community functions at human speed. If you can't navigate your own neighborhood comfortably on foot, that reveals a specific set of design priorities. But if you can, that tells you something about what a community values. Another phrase I've carried with me, there's more to walking than walking. And there's a lot of truth to that, because the physical act of walking is only the surface layer. Walking regulates stress, it lowers barriers to participation, and it creates unscripted time. But beneath that, something quieter happens. When you walk, you notice things. You see seasonal change, you recognize neighbors, you observe how a place breathes, how it lives. Walking builds relationship with place, and recreation at its core is about building and deepening relationships. But there was always an addendum. Walking is living, but walking with friends is better. And that's where the recreation lens deepens. Walking alone restores. Walking together connects. When you walk with someone, conversation changes. There's no table between you, no agenda, and no performance. The rhythm of movement softens dialogue. Silences aren't awkward, they're shared. Ideas surface, stories stretch out, joy feels amplified, and grief, it feels lighter. This is why community trails matter, why safe sidewalks matter, why intergenerational spaces matter. Because walking together is low barrier social infrastructure. You don't need equipment, you don't need a reservation, you just need a place that allows it. And in a time when loneliness is rising and public trust is fragile, walking with others might be one of the most underrated forms of civic health we have. From a systems perspective, walking is preventive infrastructure. It reduces long-term healthcare costs, it supports mental health, it increases informal surveillance with more eyes on the street, and it strengthens place attachment. But here's the part budgets don't capture. You don't see the conflict that didn't happen on a well-used trail. You don't see the medical conditions delayed by daily movement. And you don't see the friendship formed during an ordinary neighborhood loop. Walking rarely produces headlines, but it can produce stability. There are people who understand this without using policy language. They don't talk about preventive infrastructure. They just go for a walk, consistently, deliberately, sometimes alone, but often with others. And in doing so, they model something powerful. Recreation doesn't always need programming. Sometimes it just needs intention. We live in systems optimized for speed, driving, scrolling, scheduling. Walking disrupts that. It forces human pacing. You can't rush a conversation at 3 miles an hour. You can't multitask your way when you're present. Walking demands attention, and in that attention, life feels fuller, more grounded, more observed, and more shared. Caminar es vivir. Walking is living, but it's better to walk with friends. It creates precious memories, memories that can last a lifetime. And maybe that's what was always meant by there's more to walking than walking. Recreation isn't just about activity. It's about how we move through the world and who we move with. Some people understand that deeply. They just invite you to come along. And if you've ever walked with someone like that, you know.